All right. Welcome to the first full year district manager meeting. This is going to be the second one of our series. So today we got a lot of fun stuff planned for you guys. We're going to be hearing from a lot of great speakers. So let me go ahead and share my screen, show you guys the agenda for today. So we already did some icebreakers and some things like that. So first talk that we have lined up today is Ethan Campbell. It's a Silver Cup winning culture. So Ethan has won many silver cups as he's shown us today. Correction, he's only won one silver cup, but still, winning a silver cup is a very big deal. It's a very big accomplishment, especially in our business. He won it as a new district manager, so you're going to be learning from some of the best in his division, the Lone Star division. He's leading his division right now, one of the most up and coming rising stars in our company. And it's going to be a really great time to listen to him speak about just being in person in the Silver Cup winning culture. In Vector, business, it is business, but we're more in the people business than the knife business. And Ethan has really mastered that ability to really dive into people, give people that strength, that belief that they can do anything and everything. And that's what helped him win a Silver Cup. We all do the same thing. We all do interviews. We all set people up for interviews. We all do those things. But what really makes Ethan's office stand out is the culture behind it. His willingness, or his people's willingness, to do anything and die on any hill for Ethan and for each other. So for our first speaker today, Mr. Ethan Campbell on a Silver Cup winning culture.
All right. Hey Trey, can you make it where I can share my screen really fast too? And I'm excited to be able to give you guys some information here and cover some things that I think will help with lots of different things. But I appreciate you guys being on this morning. I appreciate you guys taking the time just to, when what Trey just said, we're all kind of doing the same thing. We all train reps, we all recruit reps, we all run interviews, we run trainings, we do things like that. But what we do, we all do it a little differently. We all do it in different areas. We learned last time, like when Alex went through the recruiting stuff, Trey went through the training stuff, Mac went through how to really be a district manager, not just an office manager. What's really important is we're all just kind of taking a moment, and I enjoy these calls, and I enjoyed this call last time. So thanks, Trey, for putting all this together, because it takes us a minute and it gives us some time for us to all pause, and we're all doing the same thing, and we're all new business owners, but it allows us to pause for a second. What I ask you to do during this call is that same thing, just pause, be in the moment, learn. I mentioned like take notes. It's hard to take notes on what I cover, but it's like just take notes on some things whenever we're covering different things. We have some good speakers. So that's what this is about. It's about building a big district. That's what it's about. It's building a business. I'm not here to give you some sort of sales pitch on running a live office. That felt like that's what SLC was for, is to basically tell us running a live office is a good thing. I'm here to kind of compare what we do as a business to every other business that's out there, the successful companies in 2022. I don't have any experience outside of the Cutco world, zero. So I just kind of look around and I observe things that are going on. And this is why building an in-person office culture is something that building a big district, a sustainable business, is something that's really important. So when we became district managers, we went out in the summer of 2021 is when we went out. I graduated in December of 2020. So I was talking about I ran a branch in summer of 2020. I graduated in December. I stayed as a sales rep, just trying to make some money. Sold a bunch of Cutco, paid for an engagement ring, things like that. Then went out as a DM in April of 2021. You think about what was going on in the world. This is what was going on in my life. I had just gotten engaged, and there we go. Sorry, this is my wife now. She had actually just gotten, so she had been recruited for an engineering firm. She's a litigation consultant for an engineering firm. She wasn't recruited virtually. She wasn't trained virtually. She graduated from UT 2021. She was interviewed earlier, like in January, February, March. All the interviews she did 2 Zoom interviews. That was it. Then she met with her bosses, and there were two firms that were kind of competing for her, so to speak, trying to recruit her. Both of them met her at coffee shops in person or at the office in person, was the two things that people did. They met with the boss, right? She did that. This is what I was observing when I was going through and opening a business. So it's like, hey, if this is and why did they do this? Did they do it just because Austin was like this? And this was ACL, by the way, in 2021. This is a picture of ACL in 2021. So we were sitting here opening a business. Why do we actually sit here and run a virtual world if this is what was happening in 2021? If this is what was going on in the world? Why did her bosses recruit her live in that world? Because they wanted her to be and it's like we were talking about the Greek place that's recruiting a bunch of people here at UT. It's like, is it because they just have a high turnover? Like they just always need to recruit more people. And it's like, oh, we're just going to recruit her live because they recruit people live and they meet with them live and they connect with them live because they want Hannah to be a cornerstone of their business. That's why. And that's what people are trying to get people to do. And I'm kind of going through all this. They want her to be a cornerstone of Breakwater Forensics LLC. What do we want our reps to be? Do we want them to be the rep that kind of just goes by really quick? Or do we want them to be, and this is a picture here of a cornerstone, is what that is. Look at how it's actually formed. Do you want them to be this? Do you want them to just be a brick on the outside? And I blew this up. It's really blurry. Deal with it. But do you want them to just be a brick, or do you want them to actually be something that's sustainable, a cornerstone of your business? Can you look around? And it's like we talk about having AMs wherever they're at. Can we just look around and find a few people that we can stick in our business and say, it doesn't matter, it's unshakable, right? Like where we have a crappy recruiting week, it's okay. We got some people who are here, right? We got other things. Cornerstones aren't just thrown together. They're put together with intention. If you're, so this is a biblical meaning. So if you aren't religious, sorry. Christ is the cornerstone. That's a verse that people know. This is what the Bible talks about. Jesus being the right and true foundation. That's what I'm talking about, right? The right and true foundation. If it's in alignment, the Bible talks about if it's in alignment with Jesus, it's good. It's true. That's what it says. What am I saying? What are we doing, right? Is this in alignment with, is a live training, is what you're doing live PCs? And I'm going to talk about a bunch of different stuff here. Like I'm going to talk about things here. I'm going to talk about live advertising. I'm going to talk about live interviews. I'm going to talk about, and we don't even do live interviews, by the way. I'm going to talk about having a live option through the interviews. Training, I'll talk about advanced training, PCs, development, all these things. Are they in alignment with what we want to develop people into this, right? Not just being a brick, but being a cornerstone, right? We want to make sure that people are in alignment. Is a 2-day meeting on Zoom going to do that? Not the same way that influence from me can do that, right? A lot of people know, do the questions you need to ask are pretty simple. Do virtual trainings help reps sell more? Or do live trainings help them sell more? Which one's going to make them sell more? And I'm not asking about demos because a lot of my reps just do virtual demos, but I can influence them live. Do virtual advanced trainings help reps create an acquaintance list or not? Virtually, can I get a rep to make an acquaintance list right in front of me of 30 plus people so that way they're going to be able to stick around? Or are they going to be a brick? Because if I do it virtually, I don't know if I can get them a names list, but if I sit there and do a names list PC with someone live and I force them to pull out their phone and start sending messages to their friends to get their parents' phone numbers, it's tedious and it's teeth pulling. And oh my God, Ethan, really? You spend time doing that? Sometimes we got to do it because we're not building, we got to make a foundation before we're building a business, right? We can't just recruit a ton of people and it's like, here's the bricks and then the bricks fall. It's like, no, we have to have a foundation first. We got to have a couple people. We got to have people. Who are the people, by the way? You gotta be able to understand this. So it's like we're going through this course down. Who are the people? It's the people who believe. This is Christmas theme too, just so you know. This is Christmas theme. Polar Express is my favorite. Mac, I told you that last time. Remember that? I told you my favorite Christmas movie. All right, so this Christmas theme, Polar Express. how does a live office work? It works if you believe in it. You have to believe, and it only works for the people who do believe in it. So it doesn't work for everyone. You know, if you have you guys seen the Polar Express? Hopefully you've seen this movie. When he rings it, only certain people can hear it, right? And even as they get older, right, his sister stops being able to hear it at the end of the movie. It's because they stop believing in it. Why does live training work in North Austin? Because we believe in it, and more importantly, our people believe in it. That's the thing. It only works if you're worried about it. If you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have some people virtually and some people live. That sounds really hard. It's like, don't think about it. Quit thinking about it, right? Don't freak out. What Brandon just said to Trey, it's like, hey, your level of freak out, right? Like that. Hey, don't freak out. We're just going to do it. Just do it. Just see what happens. Just kind of roll with it. See what happens. If you want to ask questions about it, that's okay. Just don't ask any questions though. Just do it, right? Like just start training people and see what happens. Our recruits want to be interacted with. You have to believe this. Our recruits long to have attention from someone who's important. And you're important. You're a district manager for a $250 million marketing company. Use that to influence people. And if they don't believe in this, if they're not that person, if they're the person on the interview who says, no, I got a car, I got a transportation, but I'll just do it virtually. Fine. They don't believe. That's okay. Who is this for? This is for the Erica Ramirez's who want to be interacted with, right? This is for the Danny Lopez who does live 10 minutes from the office, but he's from New Mexico and he does everything virtually, but he comes and does his demos live here at the office because he says, I want to be a district manager. And now he's a DM candidate. That's who this is for, because he will show up. And yeah, there's some people virtually that'll be on his training, but it's not for them. It's for Danny. It's for Erica. It's for Alan Lewis to be able to be $100,000 rep a year later after being in our office a year ago, right? It's to have these people who can it's to have management candidates, right? A lot of us are like, oh, where do the management candidates come from? It's this. They come from here. They need to know what a manager does. And if you're locked away in a room and they never see what you do, why would they ever want to do what you do? They need to actually know what you do. They need to believe that you have influence. How do they believe you have influence? When, again, Danny sits in the office doing demos and sees me influence reps and PCs. That's when these people actually want to have this. So how do I build a cornerstone? And I'm talking all of this. How does this happen? Yeah, so you have to believe that stuff. How do we do this? I'm going to go through each one of these with you a little bit in detail, by the way. So if they believe, this is what we have to do. We have to make sure they understand there's something to believe in through live advertising. I'm not saying we take away all of our remote options. You guys know we all have the same ads, right? Like the company gives us all the same ads. So it's not like my ads are any different. But whenever they apply on the ads and they come to an interview, what are we doing in the interview to kind of gear things a little bit differently? On my personal ads, like on our business cards, it does say live and remote work options. It doesn't just say remote options available, because that's not really true. It is true. But what else is available? A live option, right? Our posters say that same thing. We want to make sure that they have a live advertising option. I'm going to go through that. Live option in the interview. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to give you a full kind of walkthrough of a live training seminar. And when I say live training, I don't mean completely live. I mean hybrid, where we still have people on Zoom, because just like every territory right now, we're kind of spread out. We don't have a ton of offices. So we have people who are far away. That's okay. We want to recruit them, get their CPO, and keep them around too if we can. It's not as easy, but it's doable. ATs, PCs, development, and then team meetings. I'm going to cover team meetings last. That's my favorite part. All right, ready? Telling you, it's great. Great taking notes on Ethan. First, advertising. What do I mean by the advertising you have to advertise for a live office. A lot of people think Lone Star Division is the capital of live stuff and vector marketing. That's not true. We are a virtue. We're the middle point of it. We're actually the people who are just saying, hey, there's live stuff. Hey, there's virtual stuff. We're going to be hybrid, and we don't do everything live. We just want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity, and more importantly, that these people right here, the little kid who believes and hears the ringing, they hear that there is an opportunity for them. So we want to give people the opportunity to actually hear there's more for them. When I call Elizabeth Lay, who's a rep who started with me 3 weeks ago, and now Elizabeth's at $4,000 in sales, and she literally came to training, and she was the only live person in her training. One person, one girl here with me live, and then 3 people on Zoom. But she believed, right? And we also had AMs here, so it wasn't totally weird. But what did I tell her when she applied for the job? By the way, she was a campus person. So what do? We actually call and set all of our own campus people. This just quick little tangent. Gerardo teaches us this in the Lone Star Division. Our job as a district manager is to create touches for our staff to book for interviews. That's our job as a district manager. Create touches for our staff to book for an interview. So what are we doing whenever we have these people who apply on campus? My staff is booking them for interviews, or I am. And here's the part that I'm getting to with this. We're giving them a live option. So yeah, we're kind of taking some conveyor stuff out of it, and we're just scheduling all of them, but we're telling them what to expect in the interview. Hey, by the way, like, we're setting up for an interview. It's going to be on Zoom, but we do it on Zoom. So that way we can get to know you a little bit more. In fact, there's even going to be a couple other people on the interview. You'll be meeting with our assistant manager, Danny. He just wants to be able to meet with you, cover a little bit about an application, but we get to see how you interact with others in that setting. And then we'll make a job decision. And that way we can see if you're able to come to our training. And notice what we say, come to our training, right? Because they are already planting a seed that they're coming to a training. A lot of our campus people, they might not have cars, but they go to class, they do all these things. So we need them to be able to think, this is just like those things. That's what we want them to think. It's not anything different. It's not a change in the world, because their classes are live, their church is live, their parents' jobs are live, everything they do is live. So we're just saying, hey, you're going to be able to come to our live training, but we do it on Zoom. Why? Because we want to get to know you more first. It's kind of a clearing process, right? It's not the same way as it's getting to the next level of the interview. We want to make sure they do that. We also want to be very flexible with it. So this is where I'm talking about the median. I'm not going to sit there and say to the campus person, oh, you don't have a car, you're not going to be able to do this job, right? We're not going fully to the other side. What are we saying? Hey, by the way, we have this Zoom interview. And if you don't have a mode of transportation, if it comes up in the interview, or if it comes up somewhere along the way, that's okay. We have remote options available for you. And that's something we do for students, because we know a lot of them are here just trying to make some money for school. And it's something that's really easy. That's the campus people. What about PRs? Same type of things. Your PR, by the way, Elizabeth recommended you to the job. And that's the really cool thing that she's enjoyed, is she just comes to the office for the team meeting once a week, and she came for the training, and she's already sold $4,000 worth of Cutco. She's made like $600. It's a pretty good deal, right? These people understand it. And then when her friend Roshan started the next week, and he was sitting there and he's like, Ethan, oh my God, I'm literally going to not even be here for school. I don't even think I could come to training live. I guess I have to start the next week. And it's like, Roshan, calm down. We have a virtual option for you. Just for you though, only you. Because you're special, because you know Elizabeth. You know how it is. You know someone on the team. And literally he feels special for being on Zoom. And then, by the way, when the rest of the people on Zoom were all PRs, he's like, oh, this is just for people who know people. See, it connects everything. Everything makes sense. All right. So same thing with the PRs, right? What about the web apps? The web apps, we don't even schedule these people, right? So what do we actually do with them? We tell them it's easier for them. Like, we tell them in the interview, hey, we have a live training, because let's be honest, 15 hours on Zoom, do you really want to do that? Just ask someone. Hey, 15 hours on Zoom over the course of 2 days, do you really want to stare at a screen that much? Yeah, that's why we do it in live, just more hands-on. So you think you're able to come to our office? You're in Austin, right? You're in Bastrop? It's only like 45 minutes. You think you can come? Oh, perfect. Well, here's our address, right? We want to make sure we're giving them the options in the advertising. Okay. This kind of bleeds over to the next part, which is in the actual interview too. And the interview, by the way, the interview has to be for live stuff as well. So I already covered this, but you need to tell them why we do a group interview. In the group interview, it makes sense that it's like I said, a clearing process. I've already kind of said it. I jumped ahead of my notes, obviously, in my head, but tell them why we have the group interview. Hey, we have this group interview, so that way we can actually see how you interact with others a little bit more. We want to see how you actually do, how you answer questions, things like that, eye contact. Our reps work directly with our customers, and our reps work directly with other reps through the training process. So we want to make sure that we're represented the right way. And these are all push away lines in the interview, but also can help with the live things that have going on. I know I kind of already said those lines. I'm doubling up on it. Make sure they know how training works too in the interview. So here's the post interview, the big part of the post interview. You have to accept them, but then when you accept them, set the expectations for what to expect in training. If they're, again, median, right? We're a median. So if they're the person who's going to be doing virtual for whatever reason, when Roshan freaks out and it's like, I'm going back, there's no way I can do training live. It's like, hey, that's fine. We have a virtual option for you. Here's the thing though, you're doing Zoom. I just told you training actually happens live. We actually have both live and virtual people. So it's not going to be a ton of people, if I'm being honest with you, Trey. Like there's not going to be a ton of people there. There'll be like 2 people on Zoom, 2 people live. That's about it. But here's the thing, we're going to have people in both settings. So if you're going to be virtual, here's what I kind of expect you to be able to do. Now, remember, we look for somebody with a strong work ethic. So this isn't something that should be very hard for you. But what we actually expect you to do is this. I need you to be in a quiet, focused place where you can kind of have your camera on, ready to roll, be engaged, because I'm going to have some people here live. I want you to be able to act just like they are. They're not going to be able to mute themselves. You get that, right? Yeah. So I need to make sure that you're ready to keep yourself unmuted, be engaged, understand everything. By the way, I need you, and we have training manuals they need to print out. So it's like, I literally tell them, hey, I need you to print out a training manual. For our reps who come here live, I actually just provide them for them. And it's not a big deal if you're doing it virtually, but I'm going to need you to be able to take really good notes and detailed notes. So even if you have a copy of it on your computer or your iPad, I need you to be able to fill in blanks, write stuff down. So just do me a favor, get that printed out. So that way you can take notes. I need you to have a pen and notebook with you, have that training manual, make sure you're dressed nice, make sure you're in that focused place. Does that sound good for you? So basically it's just going to be like you're with us in person. And that's the setup for somebody who's doing it virtually. If they're doing it live, it's almost the same thing. I give them the address, I give them the dates and times of training, and it goes, hey, by the way, here's how training is going to work for you. You're going to come here on Friday. It starts at 11 o'clock. So what time do you think I really want you here? Yeah, probably like 10:45, 10:50. Show up, dress nice for me, dress professionally. I'm going to have some people on virtually, but I'm also going to have some people live. And since you're going to be here live, what's really cool is bring a pen and notebook, bring a snack and drink. 11 to 7 is a long time. Be ready for a full day of training, but we're going to show you everything about Cutco. We're going to show you all the benefits about it. We're going to cut stuff. We're going to be able to make it interactive. It's not going to be a boring 2 days of training or anything like that. Since you're going to be here live, you're going to get to actually see and work with all the products. So come ready to learn, take notes, be ready for all that stuff. And then, by the way, write this down. You need to have a top 30 names list. And then I give them a names list assignment and I walk them through the rest of training from there. I go, here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're going to teach you how to make phone calls. We're going to teach you how to actually set up appointments. And then on Saturday, 9 to 4, we're just making sure you're good at everything. But when 4 o'clock hits, here's the thing, Trey, you're going to walk out of this door in training that I'm looking at. You're going to be able to leave training. You're going to be able to go start doing your first appointments. And if they're a local rep who's doing live demos and can do live demos, this is where we get the biggest difference in North Austin is the reps who are local, who do live demos, sell a lot. And what we do is we just set them up for that. So here's the thing, when you leave training, it's going to be 4 o'clock. You're going to walk out of here. We're going to give you the knife set. We're going to give you everything you need. You're going to be able to go home, but you're also going to be able to go to your first customer's house. So you're going to be able to go make your first sale to your mom, make your first sale to your best friend's mom, make your first sale to your aunt that you just told me about, who you're excited to show it to. And you're going to be able to get your first 3 sales, get orders, start getting paid. But in order to do that, you have to have people to call and you need to make sure you work hard on that names list. So make sure you come to training, ready to learn, ready to take notes. Again, there'll be some people virtually, but since you're coming live, you're going to be able to get the best and the biggest experience and maximize the opportunity out of it. Make sure you're setting it up as a positive, no matter which way they're doing it, right? If they're doing it hybrid, it's a positive. Why? Because you're going to print out your manual. You're going to be okay. We're going to be able to get you everything. But if they're doing it live, give them that opportunity to be great, right? Again, who's this for? It's for these people, right? Let them believe that they're going to be able to actually do this stuff really good. All right. That's the post interview. Got it? Still going. Got more stuff. The training. Oh, wait. Yeah. Walk through. Yeah. We're good. All right. Training. Really quick stuff on training. This is a whole topic of its own. I could just sit here for I could probably run a training on how to run a training. That could be a fun thing to do one day. All right. This is what I really want to kind of break down as a topic. Training is a hybrid. So this is my thoughts that I just kind of typed out when I was putting this together. By the way, Trey called me like 2 nights ago. He was like, Ethan, are you prepared for this? I was like, yeah, I hadn't even started on this. Don't tell him that. So training is hybrid. We need to get the best of both worlds. By the way, that was a lie. I actually had prepared this. We need to be able to get CPO and results from anyone who applies to this job, while at the same time allowing the limitless opportunity that we know that Vector allows to flourish for those who have a higher ceiling and are more willing. That's the purpose of this hybrid training. So how to have a hybrid training. First thing, talked about some of your offices. Have an office. Having an office is first step to actually having people in the office, is make sure you have one. After you have an office, what does training look like? I always have assistant managers in my office for training. Ethan, I don't have assistant managers. I drag someone from the previous training to the training for the next week. And by the way, this is actually, if you want to know the full truth, this is my promotion of an assistant manager. When I have a rep who makes it to day 10, because let's be honest, not every rep makes it to day 10. When I have a rep who makes it to day 10 and they're sharp and I like working with them, hey, Kathleen, I like working with you. Let's talk about this AM position. Have you ever heard about leadership positions? Oh, you've done leadership in your life? Cool. I need you to help lead. Show up to training this week. Training starts at 11 o'clock. I need you here at 10:15 making calls, 10:15 to 10:45. And then they're just here to breathe. Literally, they're here to breathe. I tell them that. You're here to breathe from 10:45 to 12:15 while I do my intro talk. You're here to exist. You're here to, so people see you. Because if there's one person here, I'm not about to be the only person here with one other person. They're leaving training. That's weird. If there's 3 people here, they need to know this is a real place with real workers, with real things for people to do. So that's why we have this training and why we have it live. So I bring my staff in to do this. At this point in North Austin, by the way, we have 4 people who are here every week, and a 5th, that girl Elizabeth I kept talking about. She kind of comes sometimes. It depends what she's doing in school. So here's the thing. We have these people here, and last week we had more staff. We had 5 here, or last training, 5 here plus me, and we had 2 here live. So we had 6 staff for 2 reps. But what are they there to do? Warm the room, make things normal. They're here to make things really good. Every one of you guys is a dude here. I'm just going to tell you, my staff, I have Elizabeth's a girl, but also Kathleen, Erica are both girls, then Danny's a guy. But it's like, if you have women, you need to have a woman in the office. It's just makes things easy. Like I don't even want to talk to the person. If it's when Elizabeth showed up to training and she was the only one who showed up live and there was 2 people virtually, it's like, oh God, that's kind of a weird situation. Erica, get your butt in there. You're a UT student like her, just talk to her. I'm not going to sit here and talk to her for the first 5 minutes. I'm not going to do anything weird. It's not that I'm a weird guy. I'm a great guy, but it's like, just let things be an icebreaker. Let someone else do the ice breaking too. Have the staff there to help you out. I don't even talk in the first 10 minutes. From 11 to 11:10, I'm generally dealing with who's not showing up. And my staff is sitting there talking to the people live, even people on Zoom. They're talking to people on Zoom and they're just sitting in my chair at the front of the training while I'm doing the other stuff. They need to warm the room up. So that way, when I do the intro talk, I'm not talking to a bunch of dummies. And the intro talk, by the way, is the next part of this. You have to have an intro talk that does comfort everyone, live or virtually. The intro talk needs to pop any fear bubbles for people who are coming live. Like, talk about when you drove to training. You need to pop that fear bubble. Tell them about how I talked about how when my office was 53 minutes from my original house. It was in Westlake in Austin. I'm from Georgetown, not really from Austin. And literally it was a 53-minute drive. And I tell the story. And when I walk through the story, it's like, I remember going to my interview. In my interview, it took 53 minutes to get there. Driving home from my interview though, I was just so excited about it. It was crazy. Like, my foot was on the gas pedal the whole time. I'm pretty sure I made that 53-minute drive in like 20 minutes. And I got home and I just like rolled right in the door and I'm like, Mom, I got the job. It was so great. Like, this is it. And like, my mom's like, what are you going to be doing? And I tell this story. And then I talk about how when I went back to training to the office for training, and all of a sudden I was really nervous on the way to training on Friday. And that 53-minute drive, you know how when you're nervous, and some of you guys, you're driving on the way here, right? And some of you guys only had to drive like 10 minutes because you're right around the corner. But that 10-minute drive, you know, when you're nervous, it feels like it's like an hour and a half. And like my 53-minute drive, all of a sudden it was like an hour and a half. And I was just nervous. But then when I got to training, it was like, oh, look, there's people just like me here. And I tell this story so that way it pops all the fear bubbles for the live people. I don't really care about the virtual people in that one because they probably didn't even have any fear bubbles. Remember, they didn't even believe, right? They weren't even they weren't the kid from, they weren't that kid, so they didn't even believe. So it's not as big of a deal. What are we doing? We're here to pop fear bubbles. You'll naturally pop the fear bubbles with that stuff, naturally pop fear bubbles with all the virtual people. Teaching the demo, it's the same thing. except it's way more exciting live. I will tell you that. Cut stuff, cut stuff, cut stuff, cut stuff. Just not like we used to. We tell our reps this. So like my staff, every one of my staff, I have them do intro tips to training. Like, hey, what do you cut? Hey, what do you do this? Hey, what do you do? And they all talk about cutting food. So my question for you is, if my assistant managers are able to sit here in training, tell their people to cut food, and then bring food to their demos, can we invest a couple bucks into a pineapple and tomato and train? Just cut. And what does it look like? I literally take my computer, I move it, I bust out the cutting board, I angle it down, and I'm sitting there showing it off like I'm Bobby Flay or something like that on the Food Network. And it's like a whole thing, and people love it. I make them clap for it. I make them do everything. I don't use any videos for it. Like, it's literally just a cutting clinic is what it is. It's, hey, here's what I use my homemaker set for at home. Let's bust it out. I use paring knife. We peel an apple really quick, and it's just right in front of them. It's nothing hard. Tomato, same thing, right in front of them. If there's other people, by the way, like if there's live people with you, you got to let them cut stuff and let the camera show it, and let the camera show their emotions. It changes the whole game. Like, everything is just a passion for Cutco, believing in the product. For virtual people, they need more of this if they're virtual. And a lot of times we do the opposite. By the way, I've done this one where it's like you have everyone on virtual training, and it's like, oh, I'm just not going to cut any food because I don't have to. When in reality, it's for the virtual people who need it more, because they're never touching a Cutco knife, never seeing it in action. They don't have that same, again, they're not believing, right? How do we get them to believe? Let's show it to them, right? Let's let them see their friends' emotions. Let's let them see those things too. Promote virtual demos still. Big thing in training. You can't just go, again, right? We're the virtue, right? We're not going to be one side or the other. You have to promote virtual demos. A lot of my reps who are UT students don't do any live demos. They do all virtual demos, but training happens live. PCs happen live. Team meetings happen live. Advanced training happens live. Why? Because I'm here to influence you. It's not about the product anymore. 2020 taught us that. It's not about the product. The product can sell itself clearly, beyond belief, more than we ever knew. I can influence people more, though. How? If I'm spending time with them. I get to make people better. All right, that's training. Oh, wait, one more thing. Breaks are money in live training. Breaks equals money. Break equal money time. That is, and this is my staff's job too. By the way, I don't do this anymore, just because I have enough people here to help me out. But if I need to, I will still, which is what breaks are. If someone's out there hitting a vape by our koi pond during the break, all of a sudden my staff now hits vapes, and they're out there with them. Like, they're all of a sudden just smokers. If they're out there, like whatever they're doing, we're just with them, right? We're existing, we're breathing. Again, what are they there for? We're just doing things with them. We're making the trainees feel comfortable. Like, breaks are everything. If someone is hanging out in the room with me, I generally stay in the room, and I'll just send everyone out for a break. I'm like, use the bathroom, go grab some water, grab some fresh air. And our office, it's literally like an outdoor office complex. Like, right outside is a patio thing. So people go right out on the patio. Not kidding when I say all the kids go out there and hit their vapes during training. It's really weird, but it's okay if they do that. I don't really get that mad. They just need to be interacted with. Everybody's comfortable. Everything's going to be good. That's the last part of training. Okay. Breaks are money. Make sure they're good. Advanced training, PCs, development. Questions to ask yourself. Why does advanced training need to be live? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself, why do PCs need to be live? How do these things impact my long-term district and development? That's the question that you need to ask. Does a live PC create a CSP? Or does a virtual PC create a CSP? Can I create a CSP from a virtual PC? Maybe, probably, in some way. Can Ethan Campbell, who sold $350,000 worth of Cutco personally, create a CSP live? Yeah, I can give him my flatware script live. I can do that. We can role play that live. That's pretty easy, right? Can I get a good event rep from doing PCs virtually? Can I drive people to events training? People have been asking me this. They're like, Ethan, your sales report's big these last few weeks. Like, where's that coming from? It's not even any new business. Like, you're selling nothing. Event reps, they stick around long enough. What do they have? Things to do, right? How did I get them there, though? live events, live advanced trainings, live PCs. They weren't even good reps at any point. Like none of them. Erica was not a rep who ever had, she had never had bigger than a $3,000 week prior to this semester. Hops on the events team. Dante works his magic. We're at 3 straight weeks over $4,000. Oh, maybe this Cutco thing is, maybe this vector thing has a lot more layers to it than we realize as new DMs. We need to get people there though. How do we get them there? You can't do it from virtual stuff. We need to have live stuff. This girl, again, who did everything virtually, but she came to training live and she did PCs live and she did team meetings live and development live. How do I get a branch manager? This is, again, we need development, right? Branch managers come from this. Like branch managers, I cannot influence this one enough. My dad used to tell me this, or used to, he still tells me this. My dad's telling me how to create more DM candidates. This is it. They need to know your life is good. Nothing else. If your life is good, they're attracted to it. If your life is, if you're some schmuck, like this, my dad tells me it to tell me like, hey, like treat your body right, treat yourself right. If you're a loser, like nobody wants to be you. But if you're a winner in other areas, and it's not like saying you have to sell $1 million, make a ton of money, anything like that. But if your life is good, they want to be like you. But if we're on Zoom and we're doing PCs on Zoom, they never know what my life is like. When my dog is in my office for their PCs, hey, that guy's life is cool. Like he literally just shows up, works whenever he wants. His dog's in the office. He's going to go home whenever he wants. He's probably going to stop by the freaking dog park again. Like my reps know this, that I literally just go by the dog park on the way home every day. It's like, why? Dog lifts are out. I'm like, what the hell else am I going to do? That's a cool life though, for some of them. I don't know why, but it is. Cool life. They want to be like us. Why? Because they see these things that happen in my life. They see that I am spending $1,600 on office rent every month. He can afford that? Whoa, it's kind of weird. He's 23. Huh, Jordan, you can do whatever you want, right? Like you can do these things and promote your life and these people will be attracted to it. But that's why advanced training has to be still live. I've had this happen with my, I was talking about my branch managers. My branch managers, it's like we preach in Lone Star, we preach a lot of this live stuff. And then I have branch managers this summer who went out and they did trainings live and then flipped advanced training virtually because it was easier on them and the reps. And it's like, no, advanced training needs to be live even more than the training, because you know why? What I said earlier, you're never going to get them to make an acquaintance list virtually. That will never happen. You cannot convince me that you will be able to pull teeth the same way to get somebody to make a top mission 200, to come up with 100 names and numbers. You're not going to get that virtually. No, not possible. I have to be able to sit there and make the list with them. Like I have to sit here and hold their hand and walk them through it. I've done that 4 times over the last 3 weeks with live reps, and I've done it twice with the virtual reps. Both of the virtual ones quit after the PCs. The 3 live reps, one of them's Elizabeth, who I keep mentioning. One of them's Kathleen, who got promoted. And the other one's Roshan, who we'll see. Verdict's still out on him. He's still too new. But this is the idea on this. You have to do these stuff live. Okay. Team meetings, they have to be live too. Drew Frank teaches us reps sell good because they feel good, have a plan, people to call. That's it. That's the point of my team meeting. It's my favorite night of the week because I get to make sure my reps feel good, have a plan, have people to call. That's the extent of my PC, or the extent of my team meeting. We have an event checkout PC. So literally my team meeting, it's quick, an hour long. That's it. Knowledge and recognition and some phone time at the end. But when they're done with the phone time, literally anyone who's at my office, I meet with them and they get the event checkout PC. And this is my staff, by the way, gets this. Like, I don't care who you are. You have to meet with me and talk to me. And my staff goes last. So I keep them here calling all night. And literally we just figure out their phone times, workshop schedule, classes, everything, put it all together. And this is basically, you're like, so you have PCs with them earlier in the week? Not all the time. This is where I get the chance to influence everyone, right? I get the chance to kind of put my finger on every single part of it. And this is where you can get those office rat type of reps, where at this point I have 13 reps who none of them are like, there's a lot of them who aren't really active. I probably have like 5 active reps, but it's like there's 8 reps who may or may not place an order this week. And that's valuable to an extent. And come Christmas break, they'll work. But why? Because they've hung around. They literally just hang around. That's it. Like they just hang on to the door and they'll come back every week and come back every week. And they talk to Danny and they talk to me and they talk to these people, and that influences a little bit more. And when you have all this stuff, you're going to be good. How does that impact everything? Because the development comes from this. Again, our CSP candidates are not. We're trying to build. I could. This is the end of my slideshow, just so you know. But you got to believe. You got to make sure you believe this, because if you don't believe it, you got to make sure that you understand. We're trying to build this cornerstone over here. The people that we're developing, the people that we're working with, they need to be cared for. They need to be placed carefully, right? Not thrown together. And how do we do that? It's through the live events. It's through saying, hey, I'm going to get you on the events team, because that's a part of management. And I'm going to have you be a manager too, because that's a part of being a good rep. And you're going to do all these things, and all these things work together. Some of the reps it doesn't work for, right? Some of the people, they live far away. Some of the people, we get that. But some of the people also believe. And if they believe, that's the people who are our branch managers, our district managers, your Alan Lewis's, who will be at $100,000 a year from now, your Erica Ramirez's, who will be a second-year branch. These people come around because we spend time and they see you and they feel you. You can't just do things virtually and expect people to want to have that same thing. Again, the question I'll kind of ask you, you got to believe in it. And this is my last question. I'm done. This is my last question. Do you really want to spend the next 2 days, 15 hours on training, staring at a screen? That's my question.
Yo. That was baller. Ethan said he's hard to take notes on. I got 2 pages, 2.5.
Let's go.
So, yo, Ethan, that was fire. No wonder you guys' division is lighting it up right now, winning a ton of silver cups. It's all the small things that add up over time, right? In Rocky Mountain, we talk about the details, right? Oh, that cutting of the corner, or the not doing this. But over time, those things add up. And it's very evident from your guys' office and from your division and from that message that you guys focus on those things. You guys focus on the details. You guys focus on getting people in, even if they're far away. It's worth it to come in, advanced trainings, and being able to have that hybrid option of being in person versus virtual is huge, and being able to do a little bit of both. We all started during the time where things were in person, and we stuck around throughout the years. We stuck around through COVID because we were here in person. We met with our district managers. I love that. Does anyone have any questions for Ethan before we move on to our next speaker?
No, I do want to say that was pretty fire, Ethan. I'm not gonna lie. The questioning about the like you said, your last question there, it's like, do you really want to spend time on the next 2 days? I'm absolutely stealing that line. That's something that, I think is going to make more sense for them, instead of just saying, oh, we have the option. So I really appreciated all that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. One more little round of applause. Ethan, you did great. No wonder you win silver cups.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate the nice words, Mac, Trey. You guys were awesome.
All right. That leads us to our next speaker. We got Mr. Brandon Phillips. So Brandon is a first full year district manager. He's working some mall shifts. He had a previous history of being a Cutco sales professional, so he definitely knows his way around a petite carver. He sold something on the call earlier before we even got started. He was like, "Hold on, I gotta book a demo. Gotta make some." You gotta teach me how to sell. And that's what we're actually going to be talking about today. He's going to be teaching us how to manage our reps throughout this winter break, on how to get them in the mindset of selling around Christmas, holidays, and just selling at this time of the year. He has a lot of experience being a Cutco sales professional, very high in career sales, higher than me in personal sales. And he's just been lighting it up in his office. He's been lighting up in the division. Last time I checked, he was number 5 in the Silver Cup race. I'd say half of it's his own personal sales. I'm just playing. But he knows his way around some Cutco. And what he's going to be teaching us today is just how to teach us how to coach our reps through this holiday season and with holiday sales. So with that being said, Mr. Brandon Phillips, you're on.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you, everybody, for just giving me the floor for a little bit. When it comes to coaching, when it comes to leading the team, I feel like sales is fun, first off and foremost. Like, if you don't enjoy sales and you're in management and you're one of those managers, it's like, oh, I'm just here to just be a manager. Like, I encourage you right off the bat to challenge that perception. How you equate yourself with sales, it rubs off on your people. And so if you find that you create a lot of managers in your office, well, all right, cool, great. Where are their sales like convictions? How do they feel about the job and how do they feel about closing? So if you can give me permission to share, Mr. Trey.
Yep, I just gave you co-host. You should be good.
Thank you, sir. So bring in the best coach that you have in yourself, and then also bring in the best sales tips to your team. That's what I titled today. We went out to Silver Falls State Park out in Oregon. It was an awesome trip. If you're out there in the West Coast, I love your territory. I love Tennessee as a home, but y'all have some beautiful stuff out there. So with that said, we want to reach the light at the end of winter break, right? Like we want to go into our winter break knowing, first off, as managers, that we have a team, whether we have one manager on the assistant staff or we have none, but we're going to build a team that has a vision to be able to make it through winter break. So I love Aldi. Every time I get to see him speak, Mr. Vector East, there's no place like this place anywhere near this place. So this must be the place. And this quote always rings home to me because this is where I get most of my conviction from. I've left the company. I don't know if y'all know that, but I actually left from 2014 to 2016 after my first branch. I went and sold timeshare for 2 years. And in that time, I really discovered like, hey, I know I love sales. The whole appeal for it was that, hey, we're going to bring you tours. You don't have to book a single demo. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. But the one thing that it just took for me when I took that job was my time, was the respect of time to be able to choose what I do when I do it. And I knew that this place always gave me that choice. I also knew that this place, if I put my effort and my focus and my time into building a proper schedule, would equate out to what I wanted to earn as a rep coming back into the business. So with that said, to be covered today, I'm going to teach some planning mentality, because when it comes down to the job, if they have a plan, like they can execute it. A lot of reps I feel don't have a solid plan, and that's why they don't sell. Teaching a champs club culture. I don't know if this is something that y'all have, but if you don't, like bringing a champs club culture is the best way to develop sales reps that can sell. All right. We all have reps that know how to make a couple of phone calls, get lucky on a couple of demos. But when it comes to really getting that time with them, this can be virtual or in person. I really love Ethan's approach for getting advanced training in person, getting training in person, getting PCs in person. That's going to be some of the stuff I talk about too. Making sure that you're teaching them how to drop down as a priority and expectation. If people hear no and they freak out, or they're like, oh man, I don't know what to do now. Well, that's not the proper way to help a customer make a decision. All right. We're going to expect no. It's going to be a priority to get no's, because we're going to be empowering our people, customers, to be able to say yes or no. I want to cover a little bit of marketing and the Blitzkrieg, because it is December, so there's very limited time, but there's still stuff that you can teach to your past reps to be able to get some marketing and past orders going. And then finally, closing with just some of my favorite questions to ask to customers. So when it comes down, spoiler alert, like this is only going to work if you're ready to bring your best self to yourself and then also to your reps. So do you have a coach? Do you have somebody that you can talk to on a consistent basis that's either your DVM or maybe even somebody that's not even like in your division, but they push you and they can teach you how to get better at your job? Do you have a plan for the office and for yourself? Meaning like the office needs to run as a business. And this is one thing that I'm really learning now, is that if we run the office schedule as our personal schedule, well, guess what? It makes it very hard to hold other people accountable. It makes it very hard to delegate stuff. So do you have an office schedule that everybody knows? And then do you have your schedule made for how you interact with that office schedule? Do you have a fire for Champs Club? Or is it just like, oh man, let's get to the office early, let's get on Zoom early, and let's teach dropping down today, right? Or is it like, yo, hey, I'm excited, like guys, today we're going to cover dropping down, like I'm going to teach you by the end of this, like you're literally going to be 30 minutes with me and then get 30 minutes of phone time, and then you're probably going to sell like an extra $500 you didn't plan on today just because what I'm going to teach you with dropping down. All right. If you bring a fire for Champs Club, it makes your people excited for it. Are you a good marketer, right? Like, have you ever done your own marketing campaign for your own customers? If not, who can you reach out to be able to teach you real quick just some good marketing? Again, I'm going to cover some of that today. And then finally, are you a confident closer? All right. We are the top 10 in the first full year. Everybody here knows how to close Cutco. All right. But are you confident in being able to close for your reps? Like if they call in from a demo, are you like, hey, just put me on speaker real quick. Let me talk to Mrs. Jones. Or are you, okay, well, hey, try to drop down to the galley. Let's see what happens. All right. Be confident in your closing skills. I love the quote, iron sharpens iron. If you didn't know, wood actually dulls it. All right. So if you bring iron to yourself and you're recruiting top people, you're going to sharpen those representatives to where they're going to be your summer staff. But if you're a piece of wood, guess what? Your sharp people are actually going to get dulled by the encounters they have with you. So first thing, indestructible planning. Like you cannot let your reps wander. And anybody here heard the jar talk? Does anybody know about this? The rocks, the pebbles, the grains of sand? Cool. So some people, this will be a recap. Some people, this will be a completely new. But I teach all of my reps within the first week after advanced training, the jar talk. All right. During the fast start, like, hey, just work hard. All right. This is going to be the hardest you've ever worked on the job. Like, this is going to be the most demos that you ever do, like, probably in your career in like a week's time frame outside of like push season. But when it comes down to it, like, let's work hard in the fast start. And then after we work hard in the fast start, well, what does it look like to consistently earn income with Cutco? So the jar talk, when it comes down to it, you're always going to ask the questions. What are your rocks? What are your pebbles? What are your grains of sand? Now, when it comes down to it, you never want to just fill your jar with sand, right? Even if it's pretty. Like, and this could be little things like, oh, well, I can't work if the house isn't clean, right? Like, oh, well, like, I got to put gas in the car. It's like at half a tank, man. Or, I haven't actually got my oil changed. All right. These are all little grains of sand that should have been done prior to really crushing your winter break. Start with your stones, which are your main priorities. Hey, I want family time. I want personal time. Got a significant other, right? Like we got to put that time in. Hey, like I actually have some projects that are due over winter break for some classes I'm going to be starting in the spring, right? That's a stone. Hey, I want to earn so much with Cutco over this time. All right. Cutco would be one of those stones. And then knowing just what your other priorities are in life. Some people love to plant. Some people have hobbies that are like rock climbing or snowboarding. I cannot wait to go and just bust my butt on a bunch of ice over the winter break. But with that said, I'm going to prioritize that as a stone in my life because, again, I want to prioritize that. Then you add your pebbles, which are going to be the smaller things. Like, what does it take to make sure you have your week set up? Like, a stone would be Cutco as a priority. A pebble would be like, I need to put my dial time in right where it needs to be. Okay, I don't actually need to set my demo slots necessarily because if I phone, well, I'm going to see my schedule ahead of time. I'm going to know exactly where to put those demos. And then you pour in the sand, all the miscellaneous things that you need to get done. But like, hey, it could be done not during business hours or not during family time. When it comes down to it, if you teach this concept, you have to help them map it out. All right. This is a first time thing for a lot of representatives to even walk into what is planning out my own time and planning my own week. One thing I'm actually learning as I talk to my wife more is just the routine of how she makes schedules for her team. She runs her own office for where she works at. And I was like, why do I not default this to my reps? Why do I just sit here and like, hey guys, you got numbers to call? Cool. Let me check. Okay. Names list. Cool. You got 50 names. All right, cool. What's your schedule look like? Well, I got family time here. You said there's team meeting. There's champs club. Yeah. That's my plan. All right. Well, they don't have any guidelines for how they know they're executing their plan. So once you teach them the concept, help them map it out. Ask them what are their rocks. What do you want to prioritize over this break? Are you trying to like chill a lot? Are you trying to hang out with all the family? Did you have any trips that you wanted to take over this time? One of my reps that is going through a couple of life changes right now is like, hey man, like I really want to go outside the country. I'm like, well, where'd you go? Well, I don't know. Well, what are like your top 3 picks? So he starts picking out. He's like, I'd go to Tokyo, Japan. I'd love to go to like England, actually like explore London. Oh, no. I know where I'd want to go. I want to go to India. All right, cool. Well, what does that look like? Well, I don't know. Well, let's start with flights. How much would the flights cost? When would you go? How long would you go for? Actually having him start looking at different flights. Oh, well, it looks like I could actually go round trip for like $1,000. Yeah, cool. Did you know that you could go for as like little as $1,000? Well, no, I didn't. Well, how does that make you feel to see that like you can actually go for $1,000? Well, that's like only a fourth of what I have in my savings account. Cool. And so we literally walk through all of the steps it would take for him to take a 2-week trip and then still be able to sell for 2 weeks around that. And he gets to have a dream experience where he's going to India over his winter break and still going to sell 5 to 10 grand over his winter break as well. Are we taking the time to help them paint the vision for the visions they have for themselves? Right? The more that we take time to help them plan, the better they're going to perform over their break. What matters most when selling during the break? Like, Ethan already hit this one. Do they have numbers to call? Do they have a plan? And then everybody always says, do they feel good? Well, guess what? Like, we're all pretty cool people. If they have walked through the plan with their manager, they're probably going to feel good about their plan. We're probably going to take the time to be like, hey, well, did you think about like lunch? Like, I see everything in here, but like, are you eating? Oh, no, actually, I completely forgot to put like any meal in my schedule. Cool. I see that you got the gym in there. Great. What do you do for like recovery? Like, are you stretching? Like, oh, actually, yeah, I stretch at the end of every. Oh, cool. Right. But if we're taking the time to walk through their plan and do the checks and balances, I know it's one of the things I appreciate most doing with my divisional manager. And then it makes me know that I'm on the right path. Now, everybody, I believe we've heard of the rule 3, 5, and 7. Thumbs up if you have, thumbs down if you've not. Oh, okay. So the rule of 3, 5, and 7 is something that we've adapted in the Midwest region to help students just know exactly how many demos they should do a week. I've taken it to 5, 10, 15 for winter break because, like, hey, you're not doing school now. You have more time. So this is the guide for students to not stress out. If your reps have a crazy busy week of family time, friend time, like they have a trip coming up, one of the biggest things in CSP and CGC culture is you never have a negative week. You never go goose eggs. And so how you do that is if you know that you're leaving out on a Wednesday, well, hey, how stacked is your Tuesday? Did you knock out your packing on Monday? That way you could actually kill your Tuesday with 5 demos. And then boom, you've already gone out, you sold $1,000, right? If your reps are busy, make sure that they're doing 5 demos minimum, right? There's really no reason like that they don't spend 7 hours a week working, okay? If they're gone the entire week on vacation, Raymond Knuckles sold $4,000 from the beach. All right. Like there are opportunities for them to work, even if they're taking a trip for the full week. 5 demos a week. They're here. Our break starts from the 12th of December and it goes until the 23rd of January. If they have 5 demos a week for 7 weeks, again, we're going to set 7, and I'm going to clarify this in a second. But if they complete that 5 every single week over the break, they're going to complete 35 demos. All right. Is your average rep right now completing 35 demos? And if not, how do we get them on this plan? From there, they're going to have a 60% sales ratio on, like, again, I call that low, but 60% sales ratio is 21 sales, $300 average order. That's 6,300 CPO. Your reps have the potential of earning anywhere from 945 if they're at 15%, all the way up to $1,890 if they're at 30% over their winter break. Right. Again, if we show them the formula, if we help them with the vision, it makes it simple. Like, oh, well, I can do 5 demos a week to make almost $2,000 over my winter break. Hey, high five, Mac. I think you can too. Right. So demos you do, appointments you set. And so on each of these examples, you're going to straight up see like, hey, there's always a set number, but we're going to complete our due number every single time. What happens if nobody cancels is, hey, I'm sorry, you made $2,500 over break instead. Like, is that okay? Well, yeah, it's always okay. So again, coming into the doing 10 demos, all right, if it's a typical break week, maybe a little bit of family and friend time, chilling with the boys, like they still have 15 plus hours of unplanned time. Yeah, have them doing 10 demos a week, making it a standard, making it an expectation that they're going to meet. Like if you're covering the 5, 10, 15 rule at the beginning of one of your team meetings for the break, and then you have individual PCs to help map this out, like, hey, Mac, what's your number? Hey, Dave, what's your number? Trey, what's your number? Ethan, what's your number? Like they can choose to run this the entire time, or you can help them map out week to week. Hey, this week's a 5 week, this week's a 10 week, this week's a 15 week. If they do 10 demos, they're going to set 13. 70 demos completed, 42 sales. That's $12,600 in CPO. They're now making anywhere from $1,890 all the way up to $3,780 over break. Again, hey, Ethan, how would you feel if you made $4,000, working 11 to 15 hours a week over your break every single week? We're going to feel pretty good, right? High five. Love it. Again, if you're just chilling, nothing going on except for Netflix and Hulu time, focus on doing 15. You should have a power 15 every single week. Like, again, this is the guide to not stressing out on the week-to-week scheduling. If you know that we have Christmas on Saturday, Sunday, I don't even know the day of the week this year, but if you know Christmas is coming up, can you squeeze in 20th, 21st, 23rd demos to complete anywhere from 3 to 5 a day? All right. You may not hit your 15 in 3 days, but if you're intentional about it, I think that you're somebody in our office that could do it. And then again, instilling that belief in your people so that way they come out of it like, like maybe I don't know about it myself, but Brandon sure believes in me. All right, I'm gonna go after it. Okay. If you paint that vision, 15 demos a week, they're gonna set 18 to 20. Again, there always needs to be planned fall off. If we don't plan for the fall off, they're gonna fall short and they're gonna be like, oh, you told me if I do this, it would work. Give them exact proper expectations so that way they can hit them. They'll complete 105 demos over the break. Who here would be excited as a manager if you had just one rep complete 105 demos over the break? Like, yeah, it's going to be a good time. Hey, I'm probably going to promote you to a branch manager in the summertime. We'll talk about what that means. So with that said, that's 42 sales, 12,600 CPO. Again, 1,800. My math's not right. That was last math. Apologies, but you know the numbers. So with that said, indestructible planning for your Google Calendar. All right. Again, create a calendar for each of your core, I call 4 rocks of life. If you have more priorities in your life, you can make more rocks. But again, only so many rocks fit into your jar of time. Make sure your rocks are the most important ones. Plan your schedule in time blocks in your long view. And what that means is when you're going into your schedule, you don't have to be like super precise in saying, okay, in the morning from like 7 to 7:15, I'm going to wake up, brush my teeth and drink water. And then from 7:15 to 7:45, I'm going to make sure I'm doing some exercise. And then from 7:40, you don't have to do that when you're planning in the long view, just an idea of what your calendar is going to look like. You can literally do, hey, here's my morning time. This is for me. All right, we got, for instance, this is for a new rep. We got training on Monday and Tuesday. I got some demo slots in the evening, and then I got my evening time. All right, just have the general long view there. And then every single month, you need to spend 3 hours a month just to plan those boulders, plan the pebbles, and plan the grains of sand. If you're taking that time on a monthly basis to look at it, it helps you break down your month. Guess what? There's only 2 months for winter break. There's really, for most of us, because I know a lot of schools actually go back around the 6th through the 12th, it's really like 6 weeks to help them plan. You could do that in a 1 month kind of setting. Spend an hour a week planning the week. And this is where you break down, okay, this is my morning routine. This is where I fell short last week. This is where I need to make up for this week. This is where I need to make sure that, hey, I went 4 days last week to the gym. I missed this day because I slept in because I was tired because I went out to the boys this night. All right, so this time we're going to plan on going to the boys. I still want to squeeze out 5 days at the gym, but that day I'm going out with the boys. Let's actually move the gym later in the day so I don't miss it. All right, if you take that time again every week to help plan your week, it's going to make life so much easier. And then every single day deserves to have 5 minutes to plan it. Like just because we planned it for the week doesn't mean that things didn't change. Doesn't mean that we remembered everything we're going to have in the day. So at the beginning of your day, make sure that you're spending 5 minutes a day planning out the week so that way you can succeed with it. What's it actually look like? Again, stone pebble mentality. Do not prioritize the wrong thing. If you're over here thinking like, again, the pretty sands, I don't know, I kind of want to put it in because, I love playing some Xbox and I really love my Call of Duty time. And like, if I can just, prioritize that every day, like life's going to be good. Does that drive what we want to achieve over the break? If it does, and that's part of the schedule, and that's really one of the rocks we want to create, cool, go for it. Hope you go pro while you're gaming. But again, if not, treat the grain of sand like it is, and then squeeze it in where you can. Like, oh, looks like I have 30 minutes here for a break. Hey, I'm going to reward myself with some game time, right? Give at least 2 hours alone and then 30 minutes to your manager. Be disciplined, but be flexible. Again, just because we said we're going to the gym 5 days a week, it doesn't mean that we have to go at 6:30 in the morning every single day. Okay. With that said, if one day we go out and we're a little tired, treat your body, rest, and then go do your commitment. And then set your goals. Again, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a map, if you don't have a plan, if you don't know where you're going, you're wandering. And we don't want any reps to wander. We don't want to wonder ourselves. Champs Club is the next topic I really want to talk about. This one will be like really brief, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows the importance of Champs Club. All right. You get to learn together. We're going to role play together and we dial together. I love the idea of going back to in person because you can actually critique people live. All right. Anybody here like heard somebody talk on Zoom and they're like, oh my God, like, this is horrible, but like, I don't want to call them out in front of the entire group. All right. Whenever we're there together in person and we're role playing live, it's literally like, hey, real quick. Hey, Kate, you sound great. Like you're reading the script fine. You're kind of valley girling though, like everything sounds like a question. And you're like over here, like, would you want to meet with me on Thursday or would you rather meet with me Friday at 6 or stop? Hey, don't do that. Try to keep your tail end down. Again, low tone when we finish sentences, it displays confidence. All right, go again. Oh, that sounded great, right? Like we can't get that same like environment and culture over Zoom. So Champs Club, I'm actually going to run 2 days virtual, 2 days in person. And then that way it's not an expectation that you're always coming to the office, but hey, like we're getting together in person and this is a habit that you have every single morning. Role playing together is key. All right. Teaching your people together. Like, I think one thing I really like love and kind of overdo is trying to teach them too advanced of things. And so this is where you need to make a Champs Club plan. What are you going to cover on a weekly basis? How do you want to actually see your representatives grow over time? Like, hey, I want to create an events team. Cool. Actually take all winter break to promote events team and then start teaching them some stuff from how to shorten their demo. Here's how you cover names and uses in 3 minutes instead of taking 15 and really helping them shorten their demo, but get better at their demo. And then dialing together. Everybody loves the experience of hearing other people dial with them after they break the little curse of Zoom that we've created where it's like, oh, they're talking, so I can't overtalk them. Back in the day, before we went through this Zoom thing, like we would have 40 people in an office just jamming, everybody yelling on the phone, like, yeah, Mrs. Jones, so does this time or this time work? Let's bring that culture back. Let's actually bring that ownership back of getting together because talking around other people on the phone, that's actually a skill set. I feel like oftentimes we forget that. So dialing together and just bringing that culture of doing things in person while not allowing them to take the easy road of, can I slide into the office? Can I go dial over here? Like, hey, I have faith in you. You got it right here. This is your spot. Ethan kind of stole the thunder on this one, but laser calls and laser PCs. Like, this is your chance to get to know the team on a level where you're not going to cover like in a PC normally. You're not going to cover in a scheduled PC or on a day 2 breakout from training. You're going to take the time. And Logan Franke from our division, he's one of the division managers. He's like, I wash my car probably 3 or 4 times a week. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean, man? Like you wash your car 3 to 4 times a week. He's like, I will literally load somebody in my car and like, all right, let's go. We're going to go through the car wash. And that'll be their PC. They'll literally do a PC while they're just going through the car wash. So it doesn't matter where you do it at. Are you together? Are you actually getting that FaceTime with your people? Are you actually asking the questions to find out like what's going on in life? One of my team members has a very traumatic thing that happened last week. And I was back and forth having the conversation. Like, do you want to have some time off to be able to handle this? Or would you prefer to like, stay in person, keep working and kind of just put that to the side so you can focus on other things? She's like, hey, I love the fact that you even offered like time off, but like, I don't know how it would help me. So yeah, I want to work harder. I'm like, hey, high five. And again, it's because we've built up this connection over time that one, I knew to care enough to be like, hey, do you need the time? And she was just straight up like, no, I'm ready to work even harder. Okay. Your reps aren't just working. All right. Your reps are trying to live a life. They're having significant others. Again, they're trying to go out and have fun, like during their break. Raymond Knuckles, I was trying to get him on for the talk today, but he has class. I love this guy because he's like, I will never miss a party. I will never miss family time. I will never miss anything I want to do in my life. And I will still make anywhere from 500 to $5,000 a week. And the attitude that he brings to it is just amazing because he knows the discipline of what's possible when he is disciplined. All right. Your reps aren't just working. It's also hard to quit a relationship. It's easy to quit a job. All right. If your people love you, like they don't want to leave. As Ethan said, he knows he's going to have like 8 reps that are selling over the break because like they've hung around the whole semester. Like they enjoy the environment. They enjoy the culture. And when it comes to winter break and we're like, hey, here are the expectations over winter break. Well, they're going to make a decision right then of, Okay, well, I love the office. I love the culture. I definitely want to stay. All right, there's expectations. I haven't been meeting over school break, but like their expectations now, they're recognizing people for hitting the expectations. All right, let's get it done. And they make the choice to start working even when they haven't been. So one of the things I wanted to cover too, dropping down. When it comes down to it, it's much easier to walk down a hill, walk down the mountain than it is to walk up it. And this right here is on top of Mount Rainier. So that's a very big mountain. It was a great time. I love traveling. So when it comes to dropping down, this is one of the biggest keys to teach your reps, again, because they aren't used to sales. If they came in as sales professionals and they knew that they were going to get 7 no's, and they knew that at the end of the day, if I just am okay with getting no's, I'm going to be all right. Well, we wouldn't have to run training, right? So by mastering dropping down, I'll cover this like probably 2 times a week in Champs Club, and I cover it every single training class. It's the main focus on your demo. I started coaching with Luciano this year, Luciano Pataki, if anybody knows the name. And he said, literally, your job does not start until you hear no. That is when you're selling. Otherwise, you're just providing information to the customer prior to. So know that that is the main focus of your demo, is to get to the dropping down process. Expect big things. Again, wherever we start, again, the higher the mountain, the more we have to walk, of course. But guess what? We also walk less. Because if we're showing them the complete set first, and then, hey, Mrs. Jones, well, if the complete set's not exactly for you, sounds like you'd use all the pieces. Sounds like you love the pieces in it. Sounds like it's just a little too much money today. Okay, cool. A lot of customers actually start out with our homemaker set, our basic set, and then over time, they'll actually upgrade later. And we can talk about that another time. So what do you think about the homemaker set? Cool. Do you like it in the cherry, or do you like the honey oak block? Okay. Now, what color knives would you do? You want to be black and white like me? No, I'm kidding. So you like the classic? Great. And if you did it, would you do it over 5 payments, or would you just knock it out in full, throw it on a credit card? Again, if we know how to communicate that way with the customer, we can display that to our representatives and give them that same confidence to expect big things on their orders. If we don't have the conviction of customers buy sets, it's very hard to train our people to help sell sets. Plan to drop down. Cannot stress this one enough. Like, it literally is going to happen. Mrs. Jones did not wake up expecting to spend $1,500 today. Did you, Mrs. Jones? No? Oh, okay. Just checking. I'm waiting for the one that says yes. Right? Like, plan on dropping down. And then make them feel good as you do it. Like, when it comes down to your representatives, knowing that you're dropping down is you getting closer to your average order price. Guess what? Our average order here is like $300. Is it 1,400? No? Hey, you got them a galley? High five. Way to drop down with excitement. Like, it sounds like the galley was the perfect set for them. Making our reps feel good about the process, and then also teaching them to have their customers feeling good about the process. Hey, Mrs. Jones, like, I know you probably like didn't wake up expecting to love these knives that much and like really like want that set that much, but like, hey, no problem. We actually have some smaller options that might be the perfect fit for you. Okay. Script practice. If you're preparing them properly, you got to get them script practicing this. Again, it needs to be in front of you occasionally. They need to hear critique from somebody that's better than them. Practicing with another rep does not help them get better. It helps them memorize. And yes, memorization is getting them better, but it doesn't actually help them get critiqued on how does your tonality sound? How's your speed sound? Are you actually speaking clearly to the customer? Do you have like nervous shake points in your transition where you're like, okay, I'm about to ask for the sets and your voice changed, right? It's just like when we want to practice for interviews, we can't practice with our assistants, right? Like we can role play with them, but we're not going to get critiqued. So script practice is key of them getting time with you to be able to hear their pitch. Actively listening. Again, some of the things that I called out, tonality, actually making sure that their pacing is good in their script, hearing for the shakiness when they're talking. Actively listen to them so that way you know how to critique them and coach them, and then also training your people to active listen to their customers. Because if Mrs. Jones said, hey, I'm going to use that spatula spreader, I make brownies every single week, and they're not covering that when they're doing their summarization of the names and uses in their homemaker set, apologies. But if they're not bringing that back up when they're covering the spatula spreader, well, they're missing one of the things that ties Mrs. Jones to that set. All right. So have them active listen. And then creating urgency. Mrs. Jones, I have a huge goal. Hey, Mrs. Jones, like we have a deadline shipping for Christmas. Hey, Mrs. Jones, like we're trying to qualify for a trip. Actually creating urgency around why they need to do it today, especially during Christmas time. We have so many customers that'll come in and be like, hey, I love it. Love everything you showed me. It's not the budget. It's just the timing. I got to shop for other people. I feel guilty shopping for myself right now. Hey, Mrs. Jones, actually, I'm so glad that you said that. We're running specials for Christmas bundles. So who's somebody that deserves a really good gift? Teaching them how to ask for gifts. So that way we can then say, hey, Mrs. Jones, if you buy your set today, I can actually knock out your Christmas for you. How's that sound? And then she's like, oh my God, yeah, I need to do this today because not only am I getting my set, but I'm knocking out my Christmas list too. As far as coming in with the right mindset, all right, the appointment is to network and show Cutco. This is for your representatives, what to train them on. You don't want them expecting to sell every single time. And what I mean by that is we go in with the expectations that we're always going to help a customer make the best choice of what's good for them, but it's not always a sell. Sometimes it's a bad time for them. And hey, somebody just passed away and like, I just need a friend. All right. Hey, Mrs. Jones, that's cool. Like, tell me a little bit about your husband if you want to. If you don't, it's totally fine. Hey, Mrs. Jones, what else do you like to do? Have you been taking your mind off things? Hey, do you like to cook? Is cooking one of the things that you do to help take your mind off things? Shooting for the stars. All right. Again, the bigger we ask, the bigger we close. We want to expect the drop down and we want to make the customer okay with that dropping down process with our reps. Main focus is that they like Cutco enough to refer their friends. We want to go for big things, but expect to drop down. Average orders 300. Like that's automatically 4 to 5 no's. And then Mrs. Jones, again, she didn't wake up planning that she's going to spend that money on knives today. All right. The more that we prepare our people for the expectation of dropping down and the right way to do it, the better they're going to do, the more they're going to close. And guess what? If they're closing, they love the job. All right. There's not a single rep that comes through this position that's like, hey, I don't like this. I've sold $5,000 now. I did it in 5 days. Not the position for me. I don't want to make $1,000. I'm sorry. Right? Like if people sell and they're closing, they're going to be happier. Proper preparation. Again, create urgency in the script. Practicing the process. Know the script. And then practice active listening. And then why should I care about mastering this drop-down process? Again, teaching your reps this. Mastery feels nice. What's the first thing that you mastered? Like as far as scripts go? Just think about it for a second. When you knew, like the moment you knew your interview script or the moment you knew your training script, how did that affect every single training or interview going forward? It probably had a lot of confidence in it. It probably freed you up to be able to say things how you would naturally say them, not from a script, right? It probably helped you raise your like show to training number. It probably helped you raise your launch from training number. Mastery feels nice. Your paycheck's always going to thank you for learning the scripts. Again, if we're earning more, if we're learning more, everybody wins. Your paycheck's going to thank you. You're also going to master problem solving. And this is one of my favorite things. I'm going to cover here in a second, just a couple of quick tips for helping drop down. But when it come out to problem solving, that's all this is for customers. That's all dropping down. That's all closing is. Mrs. Jones, like, what is the right solution for you? And if you master that aspect of it, this is cake. One phrase I love, if you buy this set today, I can buy you blank for purchasing on my first appointment with you. All right. We teach that every single training class. How often do we make sure they're actually saying it? Like, hey, Mitch, did you say it? Did you tell the customer if they buy that set today that you're going to give them something for free? Brandon, I was supposed to, but I just asked them if they wanted to buy the homemaker set. And then I was like, oh, no, they don't want the homemaker set. So I asked them about 3 pieces. Right? No, like making sure that they're doing the script correctly is probably one of the most important things that we can do. And then marketing, real quick. Everybody take a snapshot of this just so that way you have it. This is a little formula that you can teach all of your reps to make sure that they can market to past customers if they've been on your team for the spring and summer. I'm sorry, for the fall and summer. Gratitude and appreciation text, week number 1. It needs to go out this week. Just, hey, Mrs. Jones, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I just wanted to reach out and say, I appreciate you being a part of my Cutco journey. Hope you're having a great time with the family. Reach out if you need anything. By the way, what are y'all doing for Christmas? Always ask a question for response at the end of that gratitude and appreciation text. If you do not, you will not get text back as a rep. Update email at the end of week 1. So we want to send a gratitude text at the beginning. And then at the end of week 1, we want to send an update email. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I'm in finals right now. I'm finishing everything up. Wanted to just say, I'm proud. I'm going to be going into my second semester of my sophomore year. This semester, this is what I accomplished. Literally just giving them an update. Week 2, a sell email and a text reminder about that email. We'll send the email out like, let's say 5 o'clock on a Monday. We'll send a follow-up text 7 p.m. saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, I just sent out an email to you. Check your email. Might be in your spam. It came from this email address. That way people see it. And you can help them with this. If you don't help them with this process, they're not going to understand what it means to even follow up with their people or send out these messages. The follow-up plan in place instantly, like before any of this happens, we make the plan for marketing and we say, this is when you're going to call those customers that text you back. All right. Interested customers, get to them within 48 hours of them reaching back to you. And then a closeout sell, week 3, December 15th is the deadline. Does anybody know why I picked that date?
Because the day after is the last day for shipping.
I think it's the 17th, but exactly right. With that said, it gives them time to, again, squeeze in more follow-up time for those final orders. Now, in CSP culture, we extend the sale. Hey, Mrs. Jones, it'll arrive after Christmas, but that's perfectly fine. Print out a picture of what they're getting. Say, hey, I got this for you. It's on the way. I promise you they'll love it when it arrives just as much. Okay. But update email after Christmas. I put this one last and it's on here because you cannot go through a marketing campaign, reach out to these people, say, hey, I appreciate you. Hey, here's an update on me, and then not tell them how you did. This is how you build long-lasting relationships with customers. This is how you make sure your reps are having repeat orders. I have one girl on my team, Chloe Carell, who literally has had 4 customers that have bought from her like 3 times. And she started like at the beginning of July. And it's just because she's gotten really good with the updates, making sure that she's sending out texts when I tell her to those past customers. And then finally, mindset, the best closing nuggets. Consulting with great questions. As a manager, are you asking the questions that help your reps actually see a vision for the future? Hey, Dave, what do you have going on over winter break? Have you actually talked with mom and dad and like gotten the plans like nailed in? Oh, y'all do 3 Christmases? That's crazy. Tell me about that. Why? Okay, cool. So it sounds like you're going to be on a little trip then. Then it sounds like it's 2 day trips for Christmas. Awesome, cool. What else do you want to do over winter break? Consult them with a PC and help them make their schedule based on what they want. All right. We don't need to make them a schedule that fits our needs, because guess what? If it fits our needs and they don't love it, they're not going to do it anyways. Conviction that loves, or that everyone loves Cutco and they own it. Like when it comes down to it, teaching our reps this in our PCs of, do you expect to sell? And then also letting them go into demos with that conviction, because again, as Ethan said, are you cutting a ton of food? Pardon me, I'm so sorry for the dog. Oh, Trey, I just saw that, bro. I am so sorry. I just saw that. All right, let me power through this then. Conviction love, everyone loves Cutco. Not allowing smokescreen objections, basically meaning that you need to make sure that your customer's telling you the truth. Hey, I need to talk to the husband. Hey, Mrs. Jones, you know him better than I do. If he were here right now, what would he tell you to do? I had this done yesterday or on Monday with a customer, and she was literally like, oh, he'd probably just say, I get whatever you want. I was like, cool. Yeah, let's just go and do that set. And then always having a goal. All right. Make sure that your people know where they're headed. That's the end of my slideshow. I'm sorry for taking too much time. I love talking. I love teaching. But with that said, make sure that your people feel confident in their plan. Make sure that you've helped them map it out and you're tied into your people. and that you're promoting a great culture for them to come around and be a part of. Champs Club accomplishes that. From there, making sure that we are going through the marketing for our older reps. Again, this is a great strategy to help add 2 to 10K to anybody that has been with you for 6 months to a year. And then always making sure that we're doing the best with our closing mindset and nuggets. All right. Consult with great questions, make sure they have conviction, make sure they're not just weak. All right. Smoke screen, get it out of here. And then always having a goal. All right. I had some extra tips, but we can talk about it one-on-one. Thank y'all for the time.
Yo, that was baller. That was baller. And just the small things. I really like the jar talk. That's actually me my next team meeting talk. Because my reps have had a lot of issues prioritizing the important things versus what's important, what's not important. And Brandon, that was awesome. And I always say, and we always say in Rocky Mountain, the best CSPs make the best DMs, and the best DMs make the best CSPs. And just being able to have that sales side and that management side of what is our job? When you break it down, our job is to sell a lot of Cutco. As managers, we teach people how to sell a lot of Cutco, and it's hard to teach someone to sell Cutco if you've never done it yourself. And with the experience that you have, and just in this talk, I can definitely tell you have a lot of experience selling a lot of Cutco, and no wonder your reps in your office are doing so well, and you're putting up big sales weeks every single week. Is because they have a plan. You're telling them how to drop down and how to really market. And that's when the sales process really starts. And I absolutely love that. I took 2 pages of notes on that. And these are all reminders that my manager told me these all the time. And I just kind of put those on the back burner. I was like, I never really understood it. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, as a manager, I'm like, that's why he was saying these. This is why we were doing so well. And so I absolutely freaking love that. One more time, round of applause for Brandon. Does anyone have any questions for Brandon? Cool.
I do. I just want to make sure that is that PowerPoint going to be linked to the video that we send out later.
I can provide Trey with it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I just because I did like some of that as well. I'm going to use some of it.
Cool. Trey, email. Or actually, after recording.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. This concludes our second meeting of our first full year meeting. I'll be coming out with the agenda for the next one, along with days and times. I know just because December's coming, we have December push and J program. If you guys are running that. And so I'm thinking probably our next one will probably be end of January, more towards the beginning of February. Just so it makes with everyone's schedules. I know that today was kind of a weird day because some people are doing stuff, some people aren't doing as much. So we'll find a time, come out with a baller list of speakers that brings the heat. But so far, I'm really loving these calls. You guys are absolute rock stars. And I just want to say thank you so much thank you for showing up. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. And I was talking to Lindsay yesterday. Lindsay couldn't make it today. She was feeling a little under the weather. But I was talking to Lindsay, and her and I were saying we are the future of Vector. We are the next DVMs. We are the next district managers. We are that next wave. We are that new and up and coming, and be able to sit down and share our ideas of how to make our companies better, how to make our offices better, and how to make us better is going to be huge. And we're sharing the things that worked. All of us are the ones that are actively doing it. We are all the ones that are on the Silver Cup reports. We are the ones that are going to be pushing our company, our business, and our culture forward. So these calls are really important to me. So I'm hoping that you guys are getting value out of them. I hope they're important to you. I hope you guys are learning some new things and picking up nuggets as well. And every single time we have these calls, I look forward to them every single month. So with that being said, go crush it today, you guys. Crush it today. Let's sell a lot. Let's book a lot of people for interviews, and let's go impact some motherfuckers.